One of the reasons people don't grow and succeed is there's a little voice inside of them that says you don't deserve this. We're not doing therapy here, but that voice exists in a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it could be there for any number of reasons. But getting over that, it's not necessarily for your failure, it's for your success.
Yeah, it says you're not enough either. You don't have it.
Like, do I belong at this table? And
if I don't have it, I can't lose it.
yes.
Welcome everybody to the next episode of the Mobilization Mindset. My name is Scott Pieper, CEO and founder of Mobilization Funding. And today we're going to be talking about leadership. We're going to be talking about being a business owner, an entrepreneur, the things that help you get to the growth you're looking for, business-wise, but also personal. And whether you are on the actual project itself at any level or in the executive office, how you can lead, how you help your team lead their team, we are going to discuss today, and you're going to catch a lot of great insights from myself and Drew and our esteemed guest, Wally Adamchik. Welcome, Wally.
Stoked to be here.
So what do you think is going to delineate a company who gets the right talent, hires the right talent, leads the talent, executes talent? Like, what kind of owner, developer, leader mindset you need to have? And think about, like, our clients, or the people that are watching this show too, are typically your few million to up to 80 million. And the bigger they get, you may be talking directly to a specific owner, or you may be talking to a leader under that owner. But what type of mentality do businesses that you see find success, where is it from that owner down through the leadership? What type of mentality do they have, and how they engage talent, cultivate their talent, project level execution, pulling that information back and forth into the field? Like, what do you see is the best doing?
God, I wish I could quote to a LinkedIn post I did 2 days ago, but I was talking about, and it just kind of hit me. I've been at some big conventions the last couple of weeks, and and I hate to be so dramatic, but there's seismic shifts, right? Like, totally different from where we've been. And this gets to mentality, right? Because you have to understand the context of the game you're playing. And first of all, the technology and AI, I mean, you can't ignore it. But so how do you integrate, and because you hear a lot of folks say, well, that's not for me, or, I don't need that stuff. But ultimately, what you just got to was a question about systemization, right? And automating good processes, which means you have to have processes. They have to be good, all of those things. So a mentality that says it's more than the yellow legal tab.
Yeah.
Right. And you can run a couple $1 million off of a yellow, but you can't run 20, 30, 80, et cetera. So it's recognizing that I am the bottleneck. And how do I then not become the bottleneck? And one is the systems piece, right? Which gets into a whole bunch of things you were talking about, of ordering materials, job costing, those kinds of things. In other words, it moves from a hobby to a business. Like, oh, I love construction. That's great. Put a lathe in your garage.
Yeah.
That's a hobby. You're talking about creating a business, not a practice, not but a real thriving enterprise. So there's that system side. Then you have the people side, right? Where we can get into what is next gen. We've talked about that a lot, the cultural, so that do you have a profit focus or a people focus? If you go back two gens, it was profit focus, shut up and dig. Well, the extreme here is just the people focus and you don't make any money. It's both. Very few people have that skill set to wear that hat, profit hat, people hat, profit hat, people hat. But that's the mentality it takes. And I think ultimately it's about getting out of your own way.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, you said you started processes first,
Yeah.
and I think that was interesting. And I can picture a lot of our owners and a lot of our business owners out there kind of sitting down at their desk and saying, okay, I need to create a process for this. I'm going to write it down in detail with graphs on a piece of paper. Taking that, and I've even been victim to that as well, taking that and then implementing it. Talk about the mentality that's required to actually do that.
So I saw this done somewhere, and it was in a safety setting, but a safety training, and it was you bring a bunch of guys up, or you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Right, so you got all. So somebody says, well, okay, well, you get some bread, and the guy's got a baguette and a loaf of white and whatever, and then you get jelly, and you got petroleum jelly, right? Then you see where this goes, right? Well, spread the jelly. No, grape jelly. Okay, I got grape jelly too. Spread that. Well, what do I spread it with? And it is dirty. It is dirty, right? But think about that. I say make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and everybody goes, I know how to do that, right? Because there's a process that you do. The problem is when you explain the process to me that you know really well, you skip steps.
Making so many assumptions.
Right.
On knowledge.
It's like telling a kid to start a car. Like we get in and we're moving before, and we didn't even think about putting our seatbelt on, right? So if you're going to create processes, you engage the people who do the process. And then, it's the old Napoleon's corporal thing, like make it understandable and usable at the user level, right? Which says, hey, I would interview the people who are doing the work, right? But we're in a small business, like, oh, I already know how they're doing the work. Okay, just go watch them for a day with your process.
Yeah.
Whether this is a submittal or a how to install flashing, whatever it is, and go, oh my God, I forgot that. I forgot that. Because we skip steps. We forgot so much of those, that's what I think.
The peanut butter and jelly feels so good.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's funny because as I'm listening to you talk about it, if you're, and I was guilty of this myself, but as a business owner, if you're sitting there thinking like, man, why can't they just do it? Like, why couldn't they just get it done like I did, or I would do?
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about. It's like, they don't know what the standard is, so they don't know what do it is,
The other part of that though, is we were all knuckleheads once, right? We forgot the stupid stuff we did. And we did stupid stuff, whatever our environment was. And I know there were people looking at me going, whatever. And we forget how hard the learning is. And telling isn't training, right? It's like, well, I told him. Okay. His wife's in the hospital because she's going to give birth. Do you think he remembered that? I told him twice. Yeah, okay, but it's tax time, right? And I told him 3 times. Yeah, okay, he might have heard this much of it. Retention takes time. And for the time-strapped business owner, I don't have time to explain it.
Yeah.
You don't have time not to explain it, because otherwise you're in this repetitive cycle of Groundhog Day, whatever, where it never changes. And if you don't want to grow, that's fine. Do you want to make your life better?
Yeah.
Right? And it's just, I don't have the hassles and all that.
It's a good segue to what I was thinking of, and I was talking to somebody about this earlier today, actually. When you start out in a construction business, for the most part, especially if you're an owner, you probably had a skill or a trade that you were a technician at.
Probably.
And when you do that, you can run a couple $1 million business because you have your hands on it. You've been in the job, you've been in the field. You can hire another technician because you're an expert that you can tell that they're pretty good at. And by the way, a lot of these things you sort of get certified to be in some cases. Sometimes you just learn. Then as you start to get bigger, you get farther and farther away from each project. And now you need someone else to kind of do those things, but you can kind of ask enough questions. You can drive around, maybe see 3 or 4 if you keep your geography tight. You can still keep your hands up. Maybe now you're even 3, 4, and 5 million. But at some point, this is the difference, I think, between every successful construction business that goes from owner-led, found 5-ish million to bigger. And it's the owner's ability to realize that they are now a business owner, and they're not the plumber. They're not an electrician. They're not a drywall person. They're not concrete. Because you are now, if you don't like what that person's doing and you haven't teach them, if you were around a bunch of business owners, they'd be saying the same thing about you that you're saying about them. Yeah. And as soon as you realize that, your brain shifts. You're like, damn, I'm the gopher boy on the project now again, and I need to get my shit together.
And you're the highest paid gopher boy.
That's right.
Project, right? And that, I think one of the mistakes I made in my business early on is I didn't collaborate enough. Now, I was a member of the National Speakers Association. I still am, and I've had great success. But I didn't get people involved. I didn't join peer groups. I don't. That was my insecurity. You know, we can do therapy on me later, right? But the advice I bring, the advice you bring, the advice peer groups bring, right? Local trade associations, whatever it is, there's a vehicle out there to get an outside perspective to go, oh, you're screwing that up.
Oh, yeah.
And I would say it's one of the biggest mistakes I made early on. And it's one of the big mistakes because they don't have time to get engaged. I don't have time to go do a trade association once a month.
I think it's a comfort level too. I mean, if you think about, you just outlined a scenario where you've got a $5 million HVAC owner, for example, or you said plumbing, I'm sorry.
Either one doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. And then now they're growing and he or she's getting further and further away from the actual work, but that's what they know how to do. That's where their comfort zone is. Getting into that business owner mode and working on the business versus, working on business versus working in the business. That might not be within their comfort zone, but I would say to our business owners out there, that's where real growth actually happens. You have to get outside of your comfort zone. You have to push the boundaries.
And it's the exact same thing. So let's say I have 5 foremen working for me. It's the exact same thing, right? You move somebody from operator to foreman, and what we're talking about is identity, right? You go home at the end of the day, honey, what'd you do today? I moved dirt. I pulled cable. I put in pipe. It's identity. It's tangible. Look at this. This is good stuff. What'd you do today? I managed.
Yeah.
What is that?
Crushed it today, honey.
So you get an identity issue, but you're right. It's a mind switch. And we've talked about it 3 or 4 different ways already that if you don't flip that switch, you will be in a continued cycle of,
You're done.
and I'll use the word dependence, right? Almost codependent on the business and then on an island because you never have time to reach out and just see, how are other people doing this?
And you asked to own the business. Right, you made the decision to own the business.
You blame.
So, but I say that, and I've said that to some of our customers and our prospects. So they lean on us for a lot for just kind of talking shop, right?
Right.
And I said it's the burden you bear. It's the burden you bear, and you have to accept that burden.
Well, I say it's your name on the side of the truck.
Exactly,
and that brings great opportunity.
Yeah,
and great. What's the flip side of opportunity? I don't know. Bad cash flow. I don't.
There's downside opportunity for that too.
Yeah.
But how many people put their name on the side of the truck and don't understand this distinction between what a real business looks like, right? And cash. Again, you guys cash flow, right? It's if you don't understand this, you're not running a business. I didn't understand until I went and got an MBA, right? And they're like, oh, that's what they were talking about?
Yeah.
Well, that's the exact shift I was talking about is when you can transition to being a business owner, you then have a shop because now you know what game you're playing, you know your role in the game, you know what you can go do. The hard part, I think, is when you know what you could do in the field, but you're not there. You know what you could do if you had to put people into the field and lead the project, but you're not there. So you're trying to do that from afar. In a sales world, I came from a sales background. And when I was a sales rep and I got promoted to a sales manager, all I tried to do was be super rep to 7 reps. How can I just basically do it all but 7? That was exhausting.
Let me show you how good I am.
Yeah. And you get promoted to a VP of sales or a director of sales. And now you're just trying to be super sales manager. That doesn't work. And so it's that transition. But once someone tells you, and it's so simple, once you're understood and they tell you that, you now have the ability and control to fix it. And what I love about construction contractors, especially the owners in construction, they know what to do. Half the time, they're just not aware of the game they're playing or the problems that they're going to get into. But once you show them, they can hammer it.
Task. Do that. Yeah. I can check that stuff off.
Yeah.
Right. So it does become, it's a solvable problem, right? And not everyone ever always figures it out, but we have the fortune to work with people who are or have or want to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, this is exactly what happened to me 7 years ago. I went to my first entrepreneurial group, call it peer group, whatever group it is. And I'm around a bunch of other business owners, entrepreneurs, and I'm realizing I'm a sales manager, leader, sort of trying to be an entrepreneur.
I'm an imposter.
And I don't know shit. And so once I'm having these conversations, I realize how much shit I don't know. And now I was like, it was empowering. I left. I remember telling my wife, hon, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, she's like, well, you got this far. I mean, you can figure it out. Like, I go, but I know now what game I'm playing. And I know what I can do to get the holes. And I saw some significant ones I have, and I know where to fill those now. And over the next 2 years, I was able to really figure that out. And as soon as I kind of got my groove, I could start to feel a little bit more in control.
Well, when you ask somebody in the trades or in a small construction, what do you do for a living? I'm a pipe guy, or, we do piping.
That's exactly right.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the trade. It's not the business. And when I'm talking to foremen or superintendents, I say, what do you do for a living? Well, I build roads. No. You're a business person, right? If you are running a scope of work, whether, all right, so now the company's a little bigger and I got a foreman. That's a business. It's bigger than most small businesses in a lot of cases, right? Yeah. So you get a chance, you're a business person. You may not be the business owner in that point, but
you're delivering value to your customer. That's the answer.
That's a different game you're playing when you make that.
Yep.
When you make the jump.
You guys both, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you guys both mentioned the term imposter syndrome, right? Oh. And I think too often we actually think of imposter syndrome as a bad thing. I think it can actually be a huge asset, right? It's only a detriment when you're actually thinking about imposter syndrome in terms of crippling action, or creating inaction.
It can be motivating.
But it can be so motivating. I've certainly experienced that. And I know a lot of my peers, and I know Scott being a business owner too, I'm sure have experienced it.
Pretty much every normal human.
No, but use it as an asset, as motivation. Say, I don't want to feel like this.
Yeah, lean into it.
Yeah.
When you start to expand past your comfort zone,
you
start to feel the imposter syndrome kick in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But you have to realize, like, you got to be, and I love how a mentor of mine, Andy Frisilla, said this, you got to be one arrogant MFer if you think that you're going to be great at everything you do the first time.
Yeah.
So think about that. Like, if you're really trying to expand and you're already great at some things, and now you're going into a new level, a new endeavor, and you think you're going to be awesome at first you do it, you got to be a hell of an arrogant person.
But I was the best drywaller. And I'm like, you don't understand. I'm the best drywaller.
Yeah.
But think about it with kids, right? Kids learn how to ride a bicycle, right? And you they're wobbly, and you take the training wheels off and they get going and they crash. And we don't say, you dumbass, right?
Right.
Oh, it's okay, honey, get up.
You do.
What do we say to ourselves?
You dumbass.
You dumbass, right?
Johnny wouldn't have failed if he did it. I knew I was going to fail.
Yeah. And that becomes a self.
It's like watching a kid learn how to walk. They don't give up. They keep trying over and over again, and then they're successful. Like, if you just do the same exact thing in all of life, it becomes a lot simpler. Yeah. Just don't quit. Keep trying. You get a little better each time. Eventually, they figure out how to crawl. Eventually, they figure out, if I go grab this table, I'll at least be able to stand up. Like, it gets easier.
Mm-hmm. But notice they got assistance along the way.
That's right. And encouragement.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's I think being a business owner can be very lonely. So that goes back to my statement earlier about collaborate more.
Mm-hmm. You got to put your ego aside. You got to put your ego.
Well, you don't have to, but it'll be more painful.
It'll be more painful. But I'm saying with regard to collaboration, and you were talking about industry groups that you're a member of, and wish you'd maybe been a little bit more involved with in the beginning. And I wasn't saying your ego whatsoever. Don't worry. But I'm saying the opportunity costs of not leaning in is you can't even measure it.
We can't. But in a task-oriented, urgent business, like get my whatever installed, the tyranny of the urgent grabs us, and I can check these 5 things off. I don't need to go to the peer group today. Mm-hmm. No, you don't. But it's gonna sink you tomorrow if you don't. And that's such a hard thing, because you're getting things installed. Check. Now I can bill for it. All those things if I have a good process.
So let me ask you this question: how do you pick the right peer group? In a world where there's so much garbage out there,
that's a great.
And there's also so much great groups out there, and we now know and have talked at length, it's needed.
Yeah.
How do you go about finding the right group?
Such a good question
For you.
I think social proof matters here, right? So where do you see other people that kind of look like you doing that kind of a thing? Uh, um, and so every trade has one, and some of you guys, man, I'm too small to be in there. I mean, the chamber, depending on the locale, I mean, there's Vistage, there's chamber, there's other things, but I'd be looking and going, are there any people like me there? And, you get on say you're a residential contractor and you get in there and there's the plumbing guy and the job, whatever. And it's like, you start talking to people and go, what do you do? That's how I find out. There was a guy who was a successful speaker. I was in corporate America and he's like, well, if you're going to do this, you need to be part of this. Like, oh, okay. I'd be really leery of somebody who's asking for a big cash commitment from you to say, oh, to join my peer group, you have to pay 20 grand up front. That's not what a good peer group looks like. Sure, there may be a cost of doing business kind of a thing, like membership, but know the difference. And the other thing I would say is don't spend a nickel until you ask somebody who's been doing it for 10 years longer than you if this is the right thing to do, because there are predators out there who are looking for folks like you, the new one, to say, I got another one on the line here. Unfortunately, that's my answer. What's yours?
I think it breaks down in a couple categories. One, I think you need to be taking advice from people that are where you want to be and go.
So that might
and
be
past
it might be a mentor, right?
It could be a mentor, it could be a coach.
Yeah.
Or it could be the peer group. You want to be the lowest end of the peer group, right? It could be that. I think if you are listening to people that aren't where you want to be, you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
Because you only have so much time, right? Doesn't mean their advice is going to be bad. Doesn't mean you shouldn't take it in and process it. But if you're out looking for advice to get where you want to go get it from the people that have already tripped and fell on their way to where you're trying to get to. And what I've always learned in my personal experience is those people that are way farther ahead of me, they're never out to hurt me. They always want to help. It's almost like it's a high 90s percentage. You don't see a person way ahead of someone else in success or endeavor or whatever it is that they want to do. You can be, even if you're a marathon runner, someone with a 4:30 time and you're a 6-minute time and you're asking them how to get there. They're not out to hurt you. You ask someone that's in the 7s, 6s alongside you, they might give you a bunch of crap, whatever, but they're not where you want to be.
But if they're good people, they know they're competing with themselves and not you.
That's true.
And that's kind of this deficit mentality or growth mentality, deficit mindset, growth mindset. Look, some people grew up in, I'll use the word, a bad situation and have a deficit mentality. But when you start, what grace and goodness looks like, what giving looks like. And if you don't see that, run.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing I'll tell you is you won't see it if you're not that way. So the people that are that way will find the people that are that way. And if you're not that way and you try to leak in, don't be surprised to get shunned out.
Yeah.
Because people that are farther along have figured that out.
Yeah.
You give way sooner than you get.
Yeah.
And you attract what you put out.
Speaking of giving, on that question of how do you identify the group, I think the two, you guys hit all of them pretty much, but I got two additional ones. Number one, really do your due diligence on what the engagement within the group is.
Yeah.
Like what level of engagement. And then secondly, don't join a group that doesn't require anything out of you. Like if they require something out of you, meaning with regard to engagement, then there's the bar is pretty low.
Therefore, it has no value.
It has no value, right?
Yeah, so like that free webinar.
Yeah, exactly.
I signed up, but I'm not going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the key things. And then, absolute training.
Yeah.
Like, what do you need training on? What do you need training on? What do your people need training on? And finding a way to educate people, because you can't scale without, quote, smart people. And again, there's a lot of vehicles out there for that now, whether it's online or, again, trade associations, some of those kinds of things. So I'll often, I got this guy, you need to fix him.
Yeah.
Well, he's broken, like your dog.
What happened?
You could fix him. But each one of us, and it's that classic, you never walk in the same river twice, right? Whether it's a $10 million business to a $15 million or $1 billion to a 1.5, you need to grow to grow the business. And some people are like, I got to figure it out. You need to fix him. No, what are you doing different as it grows? You will be incapacitated, right? It'll outgrow your capacity. So what coaching do you get? What counsel do you get? What education do you get? Because you're kidding yourself if you think I'll just keep doing what I used to do and the business scaled by 50%.
On that, on that, I do have a question. So we're talking about that $5 million plumber, right? Now he's growing. Now, for the past few years, he's been managing his whole team on his own. The guy's doing the work, right? He's doing the work.
Right, he's right there.
Now, and he's done a really good job. His guys love him, right?
Oh yeah, good dude.
Yeah. And then he grows to a $10 million company. Now he has a group of folks in between him and the actual work. What does leadership look like?
Yeah.
Between the two different groups, how do you grow as a leader? Now you're leading another layer of people.
Yeah. So we started the conversation with systems, right?
Yeah.
So I write books on leadership. None of that matters if you can't get material to a job site and you can't get it costed, right? So the systems piece, I would argue, is more important than the leadership early. So now we've got some systems in place. God help me for saying this. It's a values conversation. Like, what are the rules that we play by? And safety, integrity, and quality are not them, right? I mean, those are cute, but what are the words, right? You guys have a phenomenal set of values but then you say, okay, here are I'll get a little consultancy. These are the norms of behavior, right? This is how we do fill in the blank, right? Customer service. Your definition of customer service and yours and mine differ. They're probably along the same lines because I think we all share similar values, but customer service at Mobilization Funding, we answer the phone within 2 rings. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, I don't know, whatever it is, right? For me, there's a responsiveness within, it used to be 24 hours, but with everybody with a device now, it's like kind of like the end of the day, right? Or before I go to bed, right? So what does that really begin to look like for us? So now I've got this layer in between us and they're like, okay, I know the parameters, I know the guidelines, if I'm operating within these norms, probably be okay. The other thing is giving them permission, right? I trust you.
Yeah. How do you get to that point though? And I know I'm getting a little granular here.
Give it to them or for you to
just as that growing contractor, you've taught the guys in between you you've taught, you showed them, you demonstrated, then you've coached them. At what point in your experience with your clients have you had a conversation with an owner and said, this is what worked? This is what the point where I said, okay, I've got people running the day-to-day for me.
Yeah, it's a trust thing.
It's
right?
a trust.
So it really is recognizing, oh my God, why do you do this?
Yeah.
And what do you want your life to look like in 3, 5, 10 years? And you begin with the end in mind, right? And a lot of guys start businesses you're young. The kids are young. Do you want to actually be able to see your kids' high school football game or dance, whatever it is, right? Because call it work-life balance, whatever, right? I mean, the business will consume us. We know that. So you begin with the end in mind and go, what? So why should I lose weight?
Yeah.
Well, because I want to see my grandchildren, because I want to whatever. So now I'm standing over the French fry and I'm going, don't do it.
And now you have a purpose.
Yeah, that's a great way of saying it, right? So similarly, I now have, I hired an estimator, a chief estimator, and a general superintendent, and I got these 3 people, and I trust them, but man, right? Don't eat the French fry, man. Let them go. Yeah. Look, if you have a decision that is $500, take it. If it's $1,000, give me a call. But the first thing I'm going to do is say, what do you think? And 9 times out of 10, I'm going to go. And then it's going to be a $10,000 decision.
That's such a good tactic. I haven't thought about that, but that's such a good tactic.
And then it'll be $1 million.
Yeah, empower.
Yeah.
Guide, give some instruction, empower.
when people hear delegation, they hear you got it. No,
Yeah.
I could just delegate to you, hey, go get me information. So now you've figured out where the information, go get the information and give me a recommendation.
Yeah.
Go get the information. Oh, actually, the one before that is go get the information, I'll decide. Go get the information, you decide. Go do it. Right? So there's a risk management matrix almost as you go.
That's such a good embedded risk management.
As opposed to like I can't delegate to him. He doesn't know. Don't.
Yeah.
That would be stupid to, just give it to him, but go get the information.
Yeah.
And you kind of build some confidence.
That's a powerful model.
On both sides.
Yeah, and if you're going to make a decision with them so they can see how a decision gets made based on the information.
And that's the kind of the later stage of this conversation, because if you go there too early, I don't have the capacity to understand what the hell you're saying, right? It's my focus is here on, hey, we need material, right? And you're thinking cash flow, and you're starting to educate me on cash flow. I'm like, I just need material. I'm not there yet. This is the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. We're showing steps, right?
Yeah.
And you're saying, just go build the sandwich. And I'm like, I don't even know what the materials are on the sandwich. So yes, at some point we get to that, hey, let's talk about this. Let me tell you why I did that, because it may not have looked, I know you didn't agree with it. And you know something? That's a perfect decision based on this context, but here's this context, right? And shutting customers in construction, lose the battle to win the war.
When you're talking to your clients, what is an obstacle that they feel, or what are the obstacles they feel that impede their growth the most today?
Well, they're going to say getting work. Like if I could get more work, life would be easier.
Okay.
Well, true. I mean, I like to get work too, but it's getting the right work. So they may not even know who their ideal client is. And they'll step right outside of that. And it looks, man, it's contiguous. It's right next to there, but you could lose a lot of money right there. It could be a neighboring town. It could be a neighboring trade. But what's your core? And have incredible clarity on that, because then you can build off the core intentionally as opposed to ad hoc inadvertently by accident. So I would think that's one of the, so you got to get work, but you got to get the right work. And then it's, gosh, I think we've talked about it, Scott, but it's that mentality. There's some people who have a fear of success.
Yeah.
Which goes back to a mama's house story.
It's uncomfortable too.
And all that stuff. And I'll tell this. So I was at an insurance captive, high-end captive. And we were at the Four Seasons, Orlando maybe? I've been in a lot of nice hotels. I've never been in a Four Seasons. I'm comfortable in most situations. The guy checking in next to me says, yeah, we'll be staying here for 4 weeks.
Sweet.
That's not my world. And there was a moment where I had this, I don't belong here. And then I walked into a room with a bunch of construction companies, affluent construction companies. I'm like, these are my people. Oh, by the way, they unfortunately at the Four Seasons. But we all have
Pretty sweet places, isn't it?
I walked very quickly through it. Didn't want anyone to see me.
Everything's good. Lobby smells good. The free coffee in the lobby is even better than you ever can imagine.
You're a regular.
I've tried. I was lucky enough. I told you I came from the med device sales world. I used to get to go on free trips.
And for those of you out there who are wondering, I wouldn't know anything about the Four Seasons. So.
Yeah, and evidently there's ones higher up, but it's a little bit of imposter syndrome. But
No, I remember when I first went, I was like, they just ruined all my vacations. I went to a regular Marriott and I was like,
full service.
sorry, honey.
I've arrived.
I'm sorry I ruined everything first. I hope I can win the trip again.
But to get back to our subject, right? One of the reasons people don't grow and succeed is there's a little voice inside of them that says you don't deserve this. We're not doing therapy here, but that voice exists in a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it could be there for any number of reasons. But getting over that, it's not necessarily fear of failure, it's fear of success.
Yeah, it says you're not enough either. You don't have it.
Like, do I belong at this table? And
And if I don't have it, I can't lose it.
yes. This is some heavy stuff. Some of you go, what are these guys?
I mean, if they're really listening, they know exactly what we're talking about.
No, but that's a real. I mean, that's a absolutely real feeling.
Yeah, it's a real
I'm
thing.
a vice president of a big construction company. And he said, I was always the tool hander to my dad. So we're doing pick the thing, automotive, whatever it was. And it was always hand me the tool. This is a 40-something-year-old man and $1 billion company say, I was never good enough to hold the tool. I was always a tool hander. There's some baggage for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At some point, you got to step through it. Otherwise, you get to that's how you end up with the success you wanted, quote unquote, on paper, or you're farther along you ever thought you would have, but yet you're still miserable. That's how that happens.
But you can't step through it if you don't know it's there.
That's right.
So
That's right. You have the awareness of it.
Yeah, my son's 24, and we have a great relationship. And regularly, I find myself saying, "I think that's a decision you have to make for yourself." Right? Like, yeah, there's some I'll still opinion on, but dude, go.
It's like we're talking about all these kind of like mental mentalities, and through growth, and it's something that just you and I talked about this before, but just keeps on coming back to my mind. And you need to change, or you need to do something, right? And the pain, the only way you're ever going to do it is the pain of not doing it exceeds the comfort of what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, and I just keep on coming back to that. And I think we've all experienced that to some degree, but it's just a mentality that makes sense to me.
So let's talk about this, our world right here, right? So I start a business and all of a sudden it's a it's a couple $1 million business. I remember the first time my business went over $1 million. And I'm walking downstairs, on January 8th, and I have this.
You're okay.
And my wife is like, what? And I said, the business did $1 million last year. Like, I'm just this blue collar kid, and and then you go, okay, cool. Do I want 2? Do I want 10? Do I want 20? Whatever it may be. But there's that, oh my God moment. Do I deserve it? What do I do now? I can't, and how did I get here? Oh my God. Yeah, there's definitely that. A lot of hard work.
Yeah.
That's the truth of everybody listening to this. They wouldn't be listening to this if they weren't looking for a little something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I throw this number around. I think 70% of the contractors in America never want a guy like you or me to show up because we'll stir the pot a little bit. And the majority of them are doing fine. They're putting some money on the bottom line. Yeah, cash flow may be a little tight, but they make it work. And maybe there's 10% that are the exemplars. And pick the trade, pick the part of it, like the people who you just, owe them.
Yeah.
And then there's again, 20%, whatever the number is, of people who are like, yeah, that's where so people that are at the top of that bottom tier that want to move up, right? Those are the folks that are listening and saying, how do I get better? But the majority of folks, just, it's time to make the donuts every day. Just going in and just, same old. I don't have time for it. Oh, by the way, it may cost money, right? How often do you hear this? I need a new website. That's great. Do you know somebody who can do it cheap? You mean your primary marketing vehicle? Or I don't need a website. Actually, it's 2026. You probably do. But, you hear this, and if people are not willing to invest in themselves.
Yeah. And see, that mentality, though, is the one that keeps you.
Yeah.
You can only get as far as you believe you are or can be.
Yeah.
Right. And it's more about where you can be than where you are, because you always should be thinking farther ahead than you're at. But what happens is your internal self will pull you to where you think you belong, even if it's subconsciously.
Yeah.
And so that's why you have got to push farther past. It doesn't mean you have to push beyond your limits all the time and be this reckless person. What I'm talking about is you have to not let yourself be limited by your own beliefs or beliefs that you've put on yourself or someone else has said. Leave yourself room to expand into, so that you realizing you're enough, or you'll figure it out. It's that you'll figure it out. Have the faith that you are enough to figure it out.
Yep.
Not enough now. Of course you're not enough now, but you're enough to figure it out.
So here's a tool to help figure it out. True North, Field the Book. There's a book called True North. This is a workbook, 220 something pages. It starts with life journey. So here's the thing. We're talking about leadership a lot, right? Some people can tell me what their values are. We talked about that already, but they can't tell me why their values are. And if you don't have the why, your foundation is not solid. If your foundation is not solid, you're at risk. So True North Field Guide, Field Book, put it in the show notes.
Will do, yeah.
And this is a month-long process because you're going to start thinking about things you have never thought of or you haven't thought about in a long time. When we get on time, can I tell the story?
Yeah, of course.
So I'm writing my first book, and you go through this story journey, right, of the things, the signature moments of my life. And so here I am, I'm in my late 30s, I've been a Marine officer, MBA, all these things. I'm successful, right? I got a hard time firing people. Yeah, out in corporate America, I got a hard time firing people. First thing I did, I took a disc profile, and I learned that I'm a people guy. People guys have a hard time firing people. Okay, check, I understand that. But I'm going through the story journey, and True North will take folks through this. 16 years old, Christmas break, and I'm working at the shop at the place where my dad worked as the warehouse foreman.
Yeah.
My brother, 22 at the time, just getting into the trades. It was a flooring company, Long Island, worked New York City. Christmas break, so we're all there. That night is the Christmas party, which back then was in the shop, right? You should sweep everything out, and you had the party there. So I'm sweeping. My brother comes back from a job, and Pop says help him out, and put the tables out. And there was this announcement, and for those of you who can't tell, I'm relatively short. My entire family is, and it was Big Bill, my dad, right? Big Bill, report to the offer. So Pop walks in, and he comes out, and he says, "Let's go." What do you mean, let's go? He goes, and he's white. He goes, "We don't work here anymore." New manager comes in, cleans house. Now my dad, child of the Depression, he only missed work when he was in a hospital kind of, first they're in, last they're out. But hey, it was the purge. I'm 16, who cares, right? We go home that night, and they were supposed to go to the Christmas party, and so mom says, all right, well, they had this pub they used to go to. Let's go to the Stack of Barley. So Pop's getting dressed, and he's putting his sock on. He looks up at my mom. He says, "Annie, what day is today?" She goes, "Well, it's Friday." "Why am I getting dressed like this?" It was a TIA. It was a stroke. Now, he got better, right? And I'm not blaming the new general manager for that, but he gets partial credit.
Oh, yeah.
So here I am 20 years later. I have a hard time firing people. Think that maybe there's a piece right back here that says, when your old man got fired, it was, I use the word trauma. That's a strong word, but
It's overused, but it's appropriate here.
and I don't even know, it's in small letters, right? That realization, a 90-day action plan for me at that point was 283 days. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. I told you not to do that. I'm really going to get serious next time. And I couldn't hold people accountable. From that day on, a 90-day action plan went 90 days. Sounds a little dramatic, but the self-awareness piece, you want people to step into this leadership role. Now we've put a layer in between them. They need the self-awareness to know, what am I good at? What am I not good at? Where are my demons, etc. And it's, go get True North Field Guide.
I love it. Wally, what else do you want to add to this? What have we missed?
We're talking about, the audience here is a lot of business owners. And, it's worth it. The hard work that we have talked about, the humbling work of getting counsel, etc. You gain a freedom as a business owner that not a lot of people have. You're working your ass off, no doubt about it. But the ability to say, no, I'm going to take today off, or to make a little more money because you're putting that risk out there, it's not for everybody. But for those who are interested in it, there's help out there. And there's smarter ways of doing it. You don't have to bang your head against the wall. There's other people who have done it. There's advisors and all that stuff. But I would say it's worth it.
Yeah, I think all these journeys are worth it. There's certainly a business owner being part of work with other business owners, but more of like the growth that it forces. One of the things that people say a business owner is worth it is because there is a definition of success at the end of it. Usually comes with some of those things you mentioned, some freedom, a little bit more money, those things, right? But what really you gain
Self-esteem.
is the things you've built to get to that point along the way about yourself, a different level of confidence. That doesn't come from the money and it doesn't come from the success. It comes from what you now know that helped you get there.
And it could,
And that's the journey about it all.
yeah, maybe it's not an owner probably. Maybe it's somebody who goes from an operator to being a foreman.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's the exact, there's a growth curve there.
Yep.
And here's what we know about humans is they can grow and they can change. And we have, neuroplasticity and agency and all that stuff. We have the remote in our hand every single day, but so many of us don't even pick it up.
Yeah, it's inputs and outputs, man.
Yeah.
You got to make the deposits and you got to do the work. Yeah. And time is an absolute part of the equation. You do not get to skip time. You got to put it in for a period of time. It's not instant. In this world where we can Uber Eats everything to our house and do nothing, and that's not part of this journey. There's time. It takes time.
Yeah, there's time and grain wired, but like I said, I think it's worth it. Well, you said.
Well, being the only one sitting here that's not a business, a business owner or someone who started a business, I think I had a mentor once tell me, have someone to love, have something to do, and have something to look forward to. If you have those three things that, you can have a happy life. And I think there's a couple other things that I personally need outside of those. But I would say something to look forward to. I think as a business owner, there's a perpetual feeling of looking forward to what's next. And I think that's a really powerful motivation.
Yeah. So here's what the new science is saying. Faith, family, friends, and meaningful work.
It's true.
If you put those things into your life, you're going to have happiness.
I don't think you
There's meaningful work.
Yeah, and I don't think you can. I don't think you'll ever have a true level of success that comes with comfort and peace if you don't have faith in the higher being, power, whatever you believe. I believe in Jesus, but it depends on whatever you believe. If you think you just were spotted on this earth one day, and it's going to be part of your struggle for a long time.
That's the foundation you're talking about.
And the more you pour on top of that, particularly the more success, the more responsibility, the more, whatever it is, that component will shine a light brighter and brighter. The gap of that will haunt you. And I think that is what a lot of people end up finding and seeing. The one other thing I was going to say though, and a lot of people think, well, I don't want to start a business. That's okay. You don't have to. The only difference between all the things we're talking about right now and owning the business versus being like an intrapreneur is you don't have to take the risk.
Yeah.
And the risk isn't part of the journey and the juice and all the things you learn. It's the journey and the juice and all the things you learn. If you get it, and if you can get attached to a business that's growing and you grow with it as an entrepreneur, you can make a lot of money. You can live an amazing lifestyle. You can be part of that journey too. And you don't, that risk in the early on days and the things you don't know, they have a toll that I promise not everyone wants to pay. And you can see the end of it. And any business owner knows what I'm talking about right now, but the wake that risk creates and the toll it takes on you isn't really necessarily always worth it. And if someone told you what it was going to be before you started, I bet you 99 times out of 100, someone would pick the entrepreneur path.
And there's nothing wrong.
And there's nothing wrong with that's what I mean. Because it's real. There's those things that are pressure, and the pressure and the risk are all there. People are like, I'm in risk, but The ones that are listening know exactly what I'm talking about.
Making payroll kind of a thing.
Even more than that. Yeah. And so it's just part of those things you get comfortable with. Like while you're uncomfortable, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yeah.
When I started my business, a buddy of mine who'd had his own for a while, after a year, he goes, well, how's it going? And he was on my board, outside counsel, right? And I said, well, it's got kind of figured out, whatever. And it's going good. He goes, just remember, the fear never goes away. Mm-hmm. He said, but you can handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh.
So true. Man, that was awesome. I'm glad you came in, man.
I always want to be, if not a MFer, be with MF.
Hey, you got a lot of the MFer gear, and you're gonna get the next Dave today too. We rebranded the podcast. It's now called the Mobilization Mindset. So you actually can be proud to be.
So I have a link to
some new things.
We can put it on a t-shirt now.
We can definitely put it on a t-shirt. We have it on other. He's got some.
I loved it the way it was.
Yeah, it's still good. Those are vintage. We're going to make some vintage ones of those.
The OG MFers.
Yeah. Man, well, I appreciate you coming, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
I'm grateful. I kind of forced my way in here, getting off a plane.
I told you, call anytime you ever come. You're in.
Excellent.
Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you found value in it. Follow us all. You can catch Wally on LinkedIn. You can see his show notes, mobilizationfunding.com, Drew's LinkedIn, my LinkedIn, our YouTube channel, which is Mobilization Funding. Check us out. Until next time, may God bless you and have a great week.